Good evening. You are watching AWANI Tonight with me, Saraya Mia. Emerging clusters at the workplace. Should vaccination be made compulsory? And source of life and livelihood, are we failing at protecting the oceans? That's coming up. The number of daily COVID-19 cases in Malaysia remains under the 6,000 mark today, but saw a slight rise to 5,566 cases in the past 24 hours. The nation also recorded 76 deaths today. Selangor reported the highest number of new infections with 1,524 new cases, followed by Sarawak and Negeri Sembilan.
Meanwhile, over 1.135 million individuals have completed the two-dose COVID-19 vaccination as of yesterday. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Adam Baba in his tweet said some 2.5 million had received the first dose, bringing the number of doses administered to slightly over 3.638 million. He said Selangor has the highest number of two-dose vaccinations with 145,973 doses, followed by Sarawak, Perak, Kuala Lumpur and Johor.
The Sultan of Selangor was surprised. Selangor only received over 615,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses instead of 2.9 million as initially announced. Sultan Sharifuddin Idris Shah stressed that it is unfair that the current amount of vaccine deliveries is not proportionate to the size of Selangor's 6.5 million population.
In a statement through the ruler's private secretary, Sultan Sharifuddin reminded that Selangor is the biggest contributor to Malaysia's GDP, hence should be prioritised for vaccination. On Saturday, the COVID-19 Immunisation Task Force clarified that Selangor had received slightly over 615 vaccine doses as of June 1st for statewide distribution, and that an earlier 2.9 million figure announced had included stock in a distributor's warehouse in Selangor intended for nationwide distribution. Based on total population size, KL Putrajaya combined received about 31 COVID-19 vaccine doses per 100 people as of June 1st, followed by Johor, 10 doses per 100 people, and Selangor, 9 doses per 100 people.
24 new COVID-19 clusters were reported today, and 15 out of those were clusters from the workplace. With more COVID-19 clusters emerging from workplaces, should vaccination be made compulsory for employees? Partner and head of dispute resolution, employment and industrial relations at Tay & Partners, Leonard Yeo, weighs in.
Looking at different industries, there are certain industries where having sort of like human contact are actually inevitable. So for some industries like the F&B, the travel industry, the hotel, hospitality industry, and also retail industry, if the employees are not vaccinated, there is no way we could climb out of this pandemic.
According to Leonard, there is currently no law mandating vaccination for employees. Hence, the challenge is for companies to find the balance between the rights to assure a COVID-free work environment and the rights of employees to decide if they want to get vaccinated.
They could actually give, for example, access to trainings or access to information and knowledge to the employees. But as a form of encouragement, perhaps they could give some incentives to employees, just like I wish that the government would as well. As you would have read, some of the even private companies or some food and beverages companies, they give discounts to those who have been vaccinated. So similarly, a company could actually offer some incentives in terms of extra leave, extra annual leave for those that have been vaccinated and so on and so forth as an encouragement. And at the same time, provide them access to training, to knowledge about the side effects and the different types of vaccines to assure them that it is actually safe to get vaccinated.
The oceans are a source of life and livelihoods, but how well are we in protecting them? On World Oceans Day, we take a closer look at the integral role of the high seas and preventing them from further damage from pollution, overfishing and climate change. We speak to Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fazil Muhammad Ahir, Director of Institute of Oceanography and Environment at University Malaysia Terengganu.
The main thing is food resources. We are really concerned about our food security because ocean provides huge amounts of resources for human consumption, and then also ocean is also very important for blue. We are talking about blue economy. Tourism is one of it. So it provides hundreds of billions of dollars every year, and then economies in terms of logistic shipping industry. So it provides us with lots of mediums for transportations. That's huge, because I think, for instance, during the lockdown, I think one of the biggest contributing industry is a logistic industry, which is the shipping industries. So it's a huge economy in a sense. So we really need to take it seriously, because it provides us with lots of opportunity, but at the same time challenges.
Dr. Fazil said that all of us have an important role to play in protecting the ocean, and that sharing the knowledge we know about the ocean is a great tool to help save the ocean for our future generations.
As an individual, so make sure that we can play a role of to make sure that we don't pollute our oceans, because pollution is one of the biggest threats that we are facing. And of course, talking about climate change, it's more indirect. But of course, saving electricity and do some responsibility towards the climate can also give positive impacts towards the ocean. Of course, play a role in community. Now we have terms that famously known as ocean literacy terms, which is quite important, because we want to make sure that school children, public really understand the role of the oceans towards our life. So I think that to give information and share your knowledge about the ocean to other people is very important, because hopefully it can create some change towards our attitudes towards the ocean.
Staying on the conversation of protecting our oceans, tonight on Consider This, we speak to experts on preserving this vibrant source of biodiversity and the producer of 50% of the planet's oxygen. That's coming up at 10 p.m. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Kabar baik untuk semua rakyat B40. Dengan Yes Prihatin belajar dari rumah, Yes memberikan telefon pintar percuma dan data percuma. Tiada deposit, tiada kontrak, tiada bayaran. Ini memang milik anda. Tuntut sekarang di yes.my/kasih-up B40.
Self-control, self-lockdown tu penting. Lebih kurang
Criminals around the world in a 3-year operation after the criminals were tricked into using a messaging app that was being secretly run by the FBI. In a joint operation, Australia's federal police and the FBI had monitored conversations of criminals without their knowledge on the Anom app, a black market product only accessible on specially prepared mobile phones. Intelligence gathered from the decrypted messages led to the arrest of 224 suspects in 18 countries. They include suspects linked to the mafia and organized criminal groups. Australia's Federal Police Commissioner Rhys Kershaw said multiple criminal plots were also foiled through the sting, including a planned mass shooting at an Australian suburban cafe and the assassination of a family of 5. The World Health Organization called on COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers to give half their doses to COVAX. This was after the WHO claimed COVAX is struggling to get donation-funded vaccines to poorer countries. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus voiced his frustration that several poor countries are unable to immunize their frontliners and their most vulnerable, as rich countries bought up vaccine supply and are prepping to vaccinate children. He has called for a massive global effort to vaccinate at least 10% of the world's population by September, which will require an additional 250 million doses by that month, with 100 million doses in June and July alone. Meanwhile, the WHO has also warned countries of the dangers of buying expensive vaccines from middlemen. Countries are urged to buy vaccines directly from manufacturers and to ensure that any intermediary used is legitimate. Countries are also advised to use vaccines that have been listed for emergency purposes. To date, 8 COVID-19 vaccines have been approved by the WHO for emergency use. China has approved the emergency use of COVID-19 vaccine for those as young as 3 years old, making it the first country to offer jabs to young children. A spokesman from Sinovac told AFP that its vaccine had been approved for use in 3 to 17-year-olds. It was not confirmed when the young children would be able to start receiving the shots. And since the coronavirus first emerged in China, Beijing has mostly managed to bring the country's outbreak under control. The country has administered more than 777 million vaccine doses after a sluggish start. Apple kicked off its annual conference for app developers held online for the second year because of the pandemic. Among other updates, Apple outlined the company's plans for macOS Monterey, the latest major software release for the Mac family of computers. One of the key features for macOS Monterey is the universal control, which allows users to share control of Mac and iPad devices with a single mouse and keyboard. Apple also rolled out new features aimed at protecting its users' data, including an app privacy report for apps that access users' location, photos, camera, contacts, and other data. Its paid iCloud plans will also be able to hide email addresses and encrypt videos. Apple didn't announce when iOS 15 will be available, but the company traditionally releases the free updates to all compatible iPhones in September. After a one-year wait due to the pandemic, Euro 2020 is finally kicking off this weekend, and fans who are Astro's Supersports Pack customers are in for a treat. To find out the offerings as well as what is new for this edition of the tournament, let's hear from Astro Supersports' Adam Carruthers.
As standard, we of course have all the matches, all 51 games in the highest possible definition for you to enjoy at home. Of course, this is happening during a really bad COVID time here in Malaysia. So there's no better place to be than at home, staying safe and enjoying all the football that's on offer. We'll be in the studio. I'll be joined by some guests. Now, this is where I really enjoy doing the tournaments more than anything else, because we focus mainly on Premier League during the course of a season, of course, and we tend to only have guests who have only played in the Premier League. So that does limit us to some of the names that we can use. However, when we're talking international football, well, it's a whole different ballgame. Of course, there's going to be the regular faces that you've seen, like Tony Adams, a huge name. We've got current players who are active now, but are not in the national team squads, like Andros Townsend. And we've also got names that we've never used before, like Alessandro Nesta, one of Italy and AC Milan's greatest ever players, joining us. So that's something to look forward to, their unique perspective, analysis, and take on the game. And something else I'm looking forward to is you can get out your smartphone, which I'm holding here in my hand, check out the Astro Go app, because you can watch the games there if someone else is enjoying something on the big screen. But you can also do a whole lot more. Check out all the different angles. You can play around and have a fully interactive, fun experience with the Astro Go app, as opposed to on the traditional big screen TV.
That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Saraya Mia. We'll see you again.